Wow, Caitlin, I love your look
Thank you.
and I love your setup.
Thank you.
Wow, it's so botanist.
I realized today when I was putting on this top, I actually bought it the last time I was in India. I was like, the universe.
Hi, Anubha. Wow, what a lovely setup.
Thank you.
Okay, so I know you guys are all set with your DIY kit, so thank you for that. Thank you for making the time to attend this and officially welcome to the CelesTe into Botanist event to launch our new offering from CelesTe, which is our Brew Pockets. So I wanted to just welcome Anubha Jhawar, who's the founder of CelesTe. Anubha, you want to just say hi to everyone?
Hi, everyone.
And we also have here with us Caitlin Hill, who's the brand ambassador of Botanist and our very kind collaborator for this evening. Hi, Caitlin.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Okay, there's Caitlin with her fancy setup and her hair, which is even fancier.
Thank you.
And before we embark on our coffee making journey, Anubha, why don't you take everyone through, the birth of Celeste, how you set up the brand in the last lockdown. Must have been really a challenging time for you. Thought would be nice for everyone to learn a little bit about the birth of this baby.
Yes, Meghna. So I had this idea in mind much before lockdown to start a tea brand, but I was supposed to start before the lockdown, but suddenly there was a lockdown. I had to hold, and kept holding myself from launching during the lockdown and the pandemic. But eventually, I had to overcome all the challenges, overcome my anxiety, and finally I launched the brand. Yes, it was very challenging. My excitement was absolutely engulfed with uh, uncertainty, anxiety, but I had to do what I had to do. Yes. So finally, I launched the brand in midst of pandemic, and yeah, I can't complain. It was the right decision.
Yeah, I'm sure it was the right decision because we've got some great response on Celeste. But tell us, what made you embark on this unusual career with artisanal teas?
So I'm from Siliguri, which is not many people know. It's a foothill to Darjeeling, and my father is a tea taster. So I've grown around tea estates, visiting tea estates and factories, but always as a visitor. Never thought of it as a career while I was growing up there. Then had my schooling there. I used to go, and my school was next to the auction, Siliguri tea auction. I used to pick my father up sometimes from the auction, sometimes drop him, and I ended up, attending briefly some of the auctions, the crazy bidding that was happening around, and I was always in awe as to so much energy that can be contained in a room. But as life goes on, you go and pursue your higher education. So I graduated in design from NIFT, started practicing interior design, worked with a couple of interior design firms, started my own business. And during the course of time, I always had this nagging feeling that I need to do something else, something it's so ingrained in my DNA, or take my father's legacy forward. So kept thinking, what can I do? What should I do? Contemplating when this is the right time to start. And then it's never the right time in your mind. You just have to take
Correct.
the plunge. And I did that. I wanted to do things professionally, train well, although my father is a tea taster, but he does things in a certain traditional way, how the Indian market functions. And I want to do something on an international platform, which caters to also international consumers. So I went to London to train under this very famous world-renowned tea master, Jane Pettigrew, trained with her, came back to India, visited tea estates, went to factories, took training hands-on at the factory, visited tea gardens, understood absolutely everything as to what goes on, how it goes on,
Sure.
worked on my blends, and finally, came up with this whole concept of Celeste.
Nice, nice. And today we are launching the Brew Pockets, which I think is something that's very close to your heart. It's created by women from an NGO. They're pure cotton pouches, which is also something that's really unique. Tell us a little bit about that, especially about the teas, the loose leaf teas, the taste. What's in it for all of us today?
So I started the brand with loose leaf because I am a firm believer that tea bags at the end of the day is a little consuming, and it is obviously a process which it's a one time. While a loose leaf can be incorporated and used in many ways. So being a ardent tea lover, I started with loose leaf, but I also understand where people don't have time to sit and have that whole tea ritual, brewing, boiling water, brewing their cups of tea and enjoying sipping. Some people are in a rush sometimes on the go. And I wanted to launch tea bags for them. And it's an easy process to brew the tea. But again, when I was doing my research, I came across various materials which were not eco-friendly, which were not sustainable. Although they claim that they are biodegradable, they're not. They're only biodegradable under certain conditions. So I thought, why not do something that's very unique? Do cotton tea bags which are handmade, and then I approached an NGO that was supporting livelihood of women in UP, making them self-sustainable. And I thought that why not, something that I'm passionate about, something I'm making, working hard on. Why not support women who are working hard as I am, maybe more. And hence I decided that this is the right way to approach the whole concept of brew pockets.
That sounds lovely. So thanks, Anubha, for that. I think that's lovely what we're doing with the brew pouches. And everyone, I want Caitlin to take us through what's in store for us with this pairing of tea with gin with the cocktail called Tagget's Rush. Caitlin, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds so exotic. Tell us, Caitlin, you've done so many pairings. So what do you think about tea and gin? What do you think is going to be the result of today's unique pairing?
Well, I definitely think it's going to be an exotic experience. I do think that tea and gin are a great pairing, as both use botanicals, and specifically the Botanist, we use forage botanicals from the island of Ada where it's distilled, and chamomile in there, which is one of the elements which is in the Marigold Rush variety of the tea that we're trying. So for me, it's just a perfect connection and symbiosis.
That's great. So I think, Caitlin, everyone's quite looking forward to get started. So guys, Caitlin's going to get us started now. So is everyone ready with their setup?
Yes.
Amazing.
Would be fun to have the cameras on, guys, because we're all making this together.
If at any point you have any questions, please feel free to ask as well. I'll go a little bit slower than how I would normally do it in a bar, so we can do it together. And first and foremost, you obviously start with your glass, and then I think get your gin ready, and you'll need your mint and your fresh lemon juice. I'm gonna squeeze mine freshly here now, but so start with your mint first. Grab just a nice bunch. And the best way to liven up the flavors and the aroma is to pop it in your hand and literally just clap it. Amazing. Then you can throw that in your glass. You'll smell like quite a bit of mint now. And then next, start with your gin. So a double shot or 50 milliliters or 5 ml.
Sorry, how much gin should it be?
50 milliliters. So I think it should be the full bottle. If you've got one of the small ones, it should be the whole bottle. Has everyone got their gin in their glass? And then next, we'll do the lemon juice. So about 1 shot or a little bit less than 1. And then you can take a spoon, or if you have a nice muddler, you can just squish the mint and the gin and the lemon juice together. Again, it will encourage that flavor of the mint to come through. With the Botanist, we use 3 different types of wild mint, which I think pairs really well with the tea, as well as a little bit of honey that would be in your prepared tea as well. Once you've given that a nice light muddle, you can add in your ice. For me, when it comes to ice in a drink, try to add more ice than less ice. Because if you add too little ice, the ice will dilute, and then it'll make your drink full of more water. So what we're looking for here is cool the drink, but not necessarily to dilute it too much. Once you've added your ice in, you can add in your prepared tea, about 100 milliliters, so that's 4 shots. Has everybody added their tea in?
Yes.
And then next, we're going to give it a light stir. Even if you didn't want to add the tonic water, this would taste delicious just as it is. We can even add a little bit more tea because cool tea is also really nice. A little bit of gin in there makes it extra nice. And then we can top that off with tonic water to give that a little bit of effervescence. I recommend tonic water that has less sugar, just because we've already added in a bit of honey. Also, sugar will hide the taste of the tea and the gin and the mint. Again, just give it a small stir. And then if you have a marigold flower, you can add one of those in. They're not in season in Cape Town, so I went to forage some nasturtium flowers to keep on trend with the colors that we're doing. And there you have it, the Tagate's wrap. So if everybody would like to take a photo of their drink and share it, that would be amazing. You can tag the tea, CelesTe, and the Botanist gin in it, and let me know what you guys think of the drink.
Wow, everyone's drink's looking stunning.
Is everyone ready for a cheers?
Yes, all set.
Yay, it looks beautiful.
Maybe we can all lift our glasses up and we'll take a quick picture.
Love it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Wow, Caitlin, look at your glass. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
So has everyone taken a sip or two? I just wanted all of us to sort of talk about the taste of these two flavors coming together. Dipali, have you tried your drink?
Yes, I have tried it, Meghna. Really interesting. I like the fact that the dryness of the gin kind of works so well with the tea that we have added. I don't know what are the ingredients that have gone into the Gold Rush tea. It will be great to hear that from you. But you are right. Also, the addition of I did taste it before the tonic water was added, and it didn't have. It was not. It kind of. I think after the tonic water, it's a little sweeter, and the dryness and the sweetness together kind of is really interesting.
Yeah, it's quite quirky according to me.
Yeah, right.
I think also if you wanted to make it sweeter, you could adjust the levels of honey that you use when you're brewing the tea. Yeah, because the tonic does have that sweetness, but it also adds like a little element of bitterness, I think, towards the end there. But I definitely agree with you on the
I think the
dryness.
finish is a little so there is a sweetness when you taste it, but the finishes has got that little bit of the sweetness wears off quite quickly. The finish is quite yeah, that's interesting.
Dhiram, you want to go next?
Yeah, I actually personally found it very refreshing, and I am not a gin person, but then this seems to balance it quite well, the dryness.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a gin person, but I loved it. I love this flavor.
Yeah. It's quite subtle and not that harsh on the palate as well. And yeah, like you can sip quite a few, glasses of it, I believe.
Dangerously cooling on a nice hot day.
Yeah.
I have a question, Anubhav. Why did you choose this tea to make this cocktail? I mean, I understand, Caitlin, you said the chamomile is the link, but it works really well, and but so just wanted to hear if there was what your thoughts.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to try the range, and for me, this is the one I think that just spoke to me the most. That was symbiotic with the gin. And quite light in its flavor, not too overwhelming, and quite simply anybody could make it for themselves at home. I have experimented a little bit more with teas before. Also, like infusing spirits with tea is also really fun. So there's a lot of different elements you could do it, but I just wanted to see if we could do something quite easy that like I would love to drink on a summer's day, like, you know, having a little afternoon tea with that bit of gin added to it as well.
But one more question. Do tea blends work better with, you know, pairing like this for cocktails, or do straight teas also, you know, do the job?
Anu,
think
you want to get that?
Straight teas also do the job. If I have to pair it with a cocktail, there are two ways of going about it. I think how Caitlin spoke, that you can, you know, add straight to your alcohol. Tea with teas, you know, it's always better to have white alcohols going with it. Also, you could infuse a tea for about 4 hours, 5 hours, and that gives a very interesting flavor to the whole concept of a cocktail. You could try that, and anyways, tea without any alcohol also tastes as amazing.
I agree.
Blend is very earthy.
Or like a cold brew, and then you add.
Absolutely, cold brew. So we do a lot of experiments with cold brew where we leave the loose leaf in a jar in the refrigerator, and then, you know, have it the next day. It does not taste as stringent. It is very sweet, very mild in taste, and, you know, there's no bitterness. And also the benefits that we talk about tea comes out better in cold brew than hot brew. The flavonoids and the tannins are better absorbed in cold brew than hot brew. So yeah.
I think, I mean, this is great. I think it does, you know, I hear often people say about how young people think of tea as an old person's drink. And I think something like this is just what we need to break that, you know, reputation.
Interestingly, a lot of people don't experiment with tea. They just think it as a hot beverage, which, you know, and then just associate tea with green teas. I think we as part of the tea community, I really try to promote tea and try to tell people that you can consume it in various different ways and not just hot brew it, you know. Try brewing it slowly, try, you know, it with alcohol, try it with juices, and it gives a very interesting flavor profile. And I mean, as long as you keep experimenting, you'll see so many facets that people really don't know about it.
I've really enjoyed it with juices before, where you, like when you're making a syrup for a cocktail, instead of using water, use loose leaf tea and juice, and then add in a little bit of honey or sugar. And then like that brings out the flavor of the tea quite a bit as well.
So it's not masking the tea's flavors, but it's finding ways to also complement it with something more.
And to amplify it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was fun.
Yay.
I think you should also try infusing it for a couple of hours and pick your preferred choice of alcohol, vodka, gin, anything, and just see how different it's going to taste than this one. And still very interesting and refreshing.
Yeah, I agree.
What is it about the Botanist gin? Is that like is that also the kind of what we're seeing with gin nowadays? Is you know, the addition of more botanicals? Is that a current thing as well?
Yeah, I would say you definitely see the addition of more botanicals. I mean, I've been working with the Botanist for about 5 years now. And it has 31 botanicals in total, 22 of which are foraged on the island, which is distilled at. So it's quite a unique experience, and you can only make it really in one space of the world. Because of that, I've been exposed to a lot of different botanicals, and definitely experimented with teas, with the gin. And it's a wild world out there with all the different botanicals and gins and teas and everything. But it's definitely, I think, a really fun, whether you're doing it as a bartender or as the person who's kind of consuming it, because it's going to be a different taste almost everywhere you go.
Right. Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you both.
My pleasure.
Is there anyone else here who's a hardcore tea drinker like me and who's pleasantly surprised with how you can enjoy your teas? Any questions, anyone from that from that perspective?
Yeah, I actually thought that bit that Anubha was talking about, where tea, I mean, you get the benefits of tea when it's a cold brew was really interesting, because that isn't something that most people think of when they think of tea. They just think of a really hot beverage, or like Anubha said.
Exactly.
And I'd like to add something. It's very interesting when you, I also didn't know how people thought about tea. Only when I started the brand and I started talking to people. It's a myth associated only with green tea that, that's a very healthy beverage. You want to lose weight, you want to, look fit, or you want to, get into fitness, green tea. Even a lot of people, brands, trainers, they all promote green tea. And I question that, the tea is coming from the same plant. Why only green tea is beneficial? Why not black? Why not, as long as you're having it the way you're having green tea, even oolong and white and black is as beneficial to your health as green tea. So, people really are not open to experimenting because they are not aware of it. So I think education and breaking that myth is very important at this, on the platform.
Absolutely. Anubha, I wanted to ask you that, would you think that, black tea or one of those the other different, orange infused tea or whatever, do you think you can actually brew it with spices at home, and how would that change the flavor just of the tea? And the other thing I also wanted to ask is also, again, what would be an addition of some spices into this drink do to it?
So I'll answer your first question. So we do a lot of brews with spices, with black and oolong. We've done a lot. We have this blend called Zesty Warmth, which is with spices, cinnamon, star anise, and orange peel. And it's a very interesting profile. When you taste it, you can taste distinctly the bitterness, the sourness of the peel, and the sweetness of the spices. So you can do it at home, or you don't want to have a whole tray of spices and ingredients, collecting them separately. That's why I've created these blends which have all these ingredients in the tea, and ready to brew. You don't have to go to that length of collecting ingredients. What was the second question? Sorry.
I wanted to ask, what would the addition of some of the spices do to this drink?
This is rosemary. This blend has rosemary and marigold. Marigold is a flower. Rosemary gives it a very earthy, if you brew it and taste it along with chamomile, rosemary gives it a very nice earthy aftertaste to the tea.
Okay.
We do a lot of teas with spices. This, cinnamon could add sweetness to this. I mean, like, I don't have a sweet tooth. Instead of honey, probably I'll brew cinnamon with the blend. And
yeah, I think it would be an interesting
addition.
Yeah, absolutely. What spices would you recommend, Caitlin?
Wow. I think cardamom could be quite interesting.
That's an interesting one, yes.
Yeah, and even maybe star anise. Trying to think what else. Even peppercorns could be quite interesting as well.
Yeah, they'll add a dimension to the cocktail. Yes.
Yeah. I was just wondering that, the spices could make it a little more interesting.
Anubha, what are the other white spirits that will go well with tea, you think?
I would say vodka, white rum, Bacardi. So I've done a lot of experiments. I try to stick to white spirits because they're not so complex in their flavor and it does not dilute the taste of the tea. Maybe a little more, I have not tried with whiskey. Honestly, I think whiskey in itself has such a strong flavor, and vodka is my first go-to, second is gin, third is Bacardi, white rum. Otherwise, with black teas, dark rum also goes well. We've tried that as well, but preference is white spirits because that does not let the taste go.
Have you, Anubha, ever tried it with like a Blanco tequila, perhaps? Because of that earthiness from the agave, it could be quite interesting.
I tried tequila with a green tea blend.
Yeah.
But like everybody has a different taste profile. So I like my teas with white spirits where I can taste my tea as very well with other ingredients. I have tried it. Because tequila also has a very strong flavor. I
It
mean,
does.
it
The
does.
agave is like a real, if you take tequila neat properly, like not as a shot or whatever, it's very interesting, like that earthiness that comes through as well.
So that dilutes the flavor of tea to an extent where I would like the tea to, tea to come out more. So my preferred is vodka and gin. Yes, because there are a lot of botanicals in gin and there are a lot of botanicals in my tea, so they're balanced quite well.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Sorry, if you were to introduce this cocktail to a tea lover or a gin lover, what would you have them look for? I mean, I think both are different sets of people. Some, I mean, there may be an overlap or not. So, anything you'd say to either of these two kinds of people?
I think they should. I would say that try the amalgamation of something, a mixer called tea with your alcohol if you're an alcohol lover. And if you're a tea lover and not averse to alcohol, I think I would say that you should try the tea in a different way, which is just not a hot brew. Because the amalgamation of these flavors are very interesting, adds so much character to the whole.
Yeah. For me, it would probably be the same. If you're a gin lover, think about like the botanical experience that you can go on and how the tea blend and maybe the gin botanicals can play around with each other when it comes to the flavor profile. And if you're more of a tea lover, think about how enjoying tea in kind of a different way than like what is the norm and what kind of experience that entails and how you might amplify different flavors within the tea profile through making it cold or adding other elements to it.
May I say something? So when I was plucking out mint, I accidentally got a couple of, leaves of holy basil, which is essentially tulsi. And I only realized I had I got 2 of those leaves in as I was tasting, and it goes really well with like the overall, the recipe. But in general, I just want to also just thank you. And I reckon this is the naughtiest observation of all the serious, great questions coming our way. But thank you for making it a Friday evening way quicker than expected, because this is such a summer kind of like smasher. The entire beverage is so refreshing, and it's ideal considering it's so sticky and warm in Delhi. So it's quite lovely.
Amazing. I would imagine that the basil would add like a little bit more of sweetness to it as well, which would amplify the flavors a bit more.
And especially in India, if like tulsi is such a familiar herb, right? So it just kind of blends in really well because there's rosemary and there's chamomile, which is so soothing. It just somehow just adds to that extremely harmonious, calm composition of that tea.
We're happy you like it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shreya. Guys, anyone else? Any questions, any comments, any feedback?
Thank you. That was a really cool drink.
Pleasure.
I said that was a really cool drink.
Thank you.
And a little dangerous because I've sipped it so fast that I would be happy to have another very quickly. So it's a bit dangerous actually. Dangerously cool.
We're happy you like it.
That's
So
great.
happy.
Say that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Pratiksha.
Yeah, thanks. I have a question for you, Anubha. I mean, since you said that, especially for Indians, chai is something which is very, very conventional and it's a hot brew. And probably as far as we go is Long Island iced tea or a normal iced tea. Do you think mixology will be evolving and we'll see probably more like, tea-based cocktails or something in Indian bars?
You'll be surprised. tea cocktails are already part of some menus across. I've seen in Delhi, I don't know about Bombay and other cities. I've seen that, out of the array of cocktails they offer, there is something interesting going on. One or two will be with tea. As a chai drinking nation, I think over the years we've evolved. Traveling, exposure, a lot of interaction, social media has made our tastes also evolve. So, contemporary urban population is not just looking at tea as chai, masala chai, as our previous generations did. Their taste has evolved. They've become more aware of what they're consuming. So I think it's an upward trend, evolving trend where things are changing. They are, and I have seen that trend where I've seen go to restaurants, cafe, bars where people do order tea. It's not that they are just asking for masala chai. They want to taste. They see something interesting on the menu and it intrigues them, and they want to try. So yes.
And my next question is for Caitlin. What do you think? What kind of food pairings would you think would go well with this drink, both Indian and continental?
I think you could definitely have something sweet, or something maybe a little bit citrus forward, like a lemon tart even, or I'm thinking if you're having an afternoon tea, obviously a cucumber mint sandwich comes to mind, those types of things. But I mean, something kind of light and refreshing I think would go well, but in the same breath I think it could also go well with a nice beans curry, where you've got that deep richness coming from something, so that they counteract each other as well.
Okay, I'd like to say that I'm a tea lover and a gin lover. So this is something which I think is paired really well. I specifically love the flavor of chamomile, which kind of just stands out very prominently, and it just is a very refreshing drink. And yeah, I also happen to put in a little bit of basil because I didn't have mint. So yeah, so I think it just turned out to be a great cocktail.
Amazing.
And also I come from Assam, so Anubha, it's great to see you doing this wonderful thing with tea blends, because tea is also something very close to me because I've grown up in a tea estate. My parents live there. So, I've seen a generation where it was very, orthodox. You had only the very traditional teas, but now to see such fun, blends of tea, so it's really great. So, yeah.
Yeah, even I'd say that, tea estates, how they've started processing the teas has changed from very orthodox CTC and Darjeeling for export. People are experimenting. You never heard of Indian tea estates producing white and oolong tea for Indian consumption. It was mainly for
exports. Yeah.
Yes, even the tea estates, their processing has evolved with the demand in the Indian market, and people appreciate, and kind of exotic flavors that come out with different seasons is just mind-blowing.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to say again, like Aarti said, that this is a very dangerous blend that you guys have introduced us to. Not just because it tastes so good, but because, so far I've not been a tea person. Like Prachi can sort of vouch for it. We've been through, we've gone to so many tea estates throughout Assam and across Darjeeling. And I've done all the tea tastings and never really liked the hot tea that was brewed and, set out for the tasting. But now with this whole cold brew and the cold option really changes my take on tea. So I think pairing it with a gin or a vodka is it's a great idea. And I mean, and the dangerous part is that now you've introduced it it's something that you can do at home. Up until now, maybe I would have gone to a bar and ordered a nice cocktail and said, okay, lovely tea and nice, it's fantastic. But now having the tools in the house to do it is super dangerous. But I thank you. I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing, but yay. And love it and cheers. And also I love the florals, both the botanist and the tea. Sorry, go ahead. I was just saying that the florals from the botanist and the tea together, really refresh you. It's not just the herbs that come out, but it's a very nice, it's almost like a perfume, and I really enjoyed that. So thanks again.
Great. Amazing.
So actually, that was the idea of today's, gathering, was to just present different ways of enjoying our tea, because we're also used to having tea as a hot beverage, especially me as well. So I think we've all learned something new on how we can enjoy our teas as a cold beverage, as a cocktail. Yes, it's dangerous, but I think it's fun. I think it's fun to enjoy our tea differently.
Yeah. I think it's time we should start doing that.
I definitely am going to, because I'm a huge tea drinker.
I would just like to say that I, like Priya mentioned, I mean, I'm not a big tea drinker as well, but I'm absolutely down to drinking tea in this manner, because I love gin and I love the Botanist gin. I think it was 2 years ago, Caitlin, that we had gone on that foraging trip to Goa.
Yeah.
I think it was in August, right? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Amazing.
I think absolutely. So this is a great combination, and I think I'll be drinking my tea in this manner going forward. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Guys, anyone, any questions, or should we start sort of winding up and going back to our drink?
So Meghna, I have one thing to say. I want to actually thank Caitlin. So firstly, Caitlin, thank you. This is a lovely gin. I am a white spirits drinker, and honestly, I want to show this to you. This is my second glass, and this is without the tea. And this is not taking away from CelesTe, by the way. It's just that I downed that. I am, like the other ladies also said, I'm not a tea drinker. I'm a caffeine drinker, so I drink a lot of coffee. I am now next going to also try Botanist with a little bit of caffeine, but I did find it a very refreshing, what do you say, preparation that you call the Tegitis rush, if I get it right. It was interesting, very different. Till I did not add the Schweppes, I was not quite sure whether I would like it or not, but Schweppes is my go-to whenever I have my G&T. And G&T and vodka with tonic is what I usually have. Now, I had a little bit of the leftover, and then I just put the remainder of the Schweppes in this, and this tastes fabulous. Now, I don't know if it's because of the effects of the CelesTe. I don't know if it's the effects of the Botanist, but you guys have a winning combination. And I never knew that the two of these two elements can go together so well. So kudos.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Vinita. So thank you everyone for attending today, for making the time to come to this evening. I hope you've all enjoyed the session, and especially your cocktail. Even those who didn't speak about it, I'm sure you've enjoyed it. So thank you once again. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Anubha.
Thank you, Meghna. Thank you, everyone.